Hey traders, Raghee here. Welcome to Charts and Coffee for Friday. What the heck is today? The 28th. Welcome to the last trading day of May. We're rolling into June right after the Memorial Day holiday. So today's going to be some funky trading. It's a long weekend. Traders are going to think long and hard before they start taking larger positions over the weekend. So could be interesting what kind of action we see going into today. It could be kind of lethargic. So just heads up with the way you commit to certain positions on a day before a long weekend. All right. So again, welcome to Charts and Coffee. Great to see everybody. Just a quick little housekeeping. I will see those of you in the futures room, simpler futures room, and the simpler options room for the close. And one of the things that I love to do on Friday, because I'm not going to be putting in significant positions into a Friday, but I'll talk about some of the positions that we did put on this week. And we'll also, of course, take your questions, but I'll be in for the close. And we kind of look at Fridays as the as they say, AMA, the Ask Me Anything. So we just kind of can run through a lot of symbols and concepts and things like that. So these Friday closing sessions, I really love to do. We kind of, anything goes. All right. So with that being said, let's get to it. Fredo asks, is it realistically possible to become a millionaire? So Fredo, no, just, I'm not going to pump your, is it real? I don't know what a small account is. I saw your question yesterday. That's a tough one to answer. I mean, I'm just going to say no, right? Because is it possible? Of course. Do I want you out there thinking you're going to turn a small account into a 7-figure account? I would be absolutely misleading you. Of course it's possible. It's very, very, for most of the population, unlikely. And for me to say anything other than that would just be lying to you. Small account trading is very different. Now, are there people who have done it? Let me ask you guys this. What I usually tell people who are starting off with trading is simply this: make good trades with low risk again and again. Will Smith tells his story, and this is probably the best way to answer your question. And anyone out there who's wondering this, forget the crypto stuff, forget listening to people who bought GME and things like that. That's not the norm. Okay, so Will Smith said one summer, he and his brother, their dad, made them build a wall. And they were very young, I think single digit age. And it, at first, the beginning of the summer, looked super daunting, like they were never going to be able to finish this. And he said the only way to build a wall is lay each brick as perfectly as you are capable. And then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And if you do that, yeah, eventually you'll probably have a larger account than you have. And that's really the only answer to that. So I appreciate that. Like I said, I saw your question yesterday. I thought, I don't really have a good answer for that other than no. But that's the way you build an account. That's the way everyone that I know who has been a trader for years and years, if not decades, they'll tell you, you just put one good trade on and manage it as best you can, and another trade on and you manage that as best you can. And then sometime you're going to look back and say, oh, wow, I've actually really grown my account. All right. So SLV explosion. I'm not a big fan of silver. I think it's going to track with gold. We've been long gold since the middle of April with a 1, 2, 3 setup. So that's a futures trade. You can see it back in here. I was talking about this particular setup yesterday during Charts and Coffee, which was, we've been long since the bottoming reversal of the wave. And the idea here is you didn't miss the trade. You certainly haven't missed the trade. I think that silver is going to track with gold. I don't typically like to trade silver. I'd rather be trading copper, or I'd rather be trading gold. I think they're the more pure plays on economic optimism. That's copper, or the real yield play, which is gold. Silver ends up this weird thing in between. So I don't have exposure to silver. Is it going to explode higher? It seems like that's the way silver likes to move. When it's going to do that, it probably is a better chance to do it now that gold is on the move and copper is on the move. But I would just play the methodical buy the pullback in a double green environment in both silver and gold. And I think you are going to find your way on the right side of that trade. All right. Okay. Don't know what to do with my Monday now. I so sympathize with that. My husband knew when I was first trading, we were a newly married couple. Heck, even when we were dating. So on Saturdays, I'd kind of go into this sort of rut, this sort of slump, and I did not know what to do with myself. And I used to tell him, he goes, "What's the matter?" I said, "I feel like a dragon slayer with no dragons. I didn't know what to do with myself." It's a wonderful feeling when you're first learning how to trade and you're so excited for the next trading day to try to hone your skills and duke it out with the market again. But yeah, I know what you mean on a long weekend. Then again, I trade Forex, and that's one of the easiest ways around all these bank holidays because somewhere someone is open. And so not that I'm encouraging that, but I totally get it. Is LUV good for a long position? I'll tell you what, we took a shot at LUV. It's one of the relative outperformers within JETS. And that's actually one of the recent and luckily few losses that I had to take. We got long with anticipation it would retest the new highs. It broke down below the wave, and so we took a paper cut and we moved on. I've left LUV alone since then. Now, that being said, if it is still looking like a relative outperformer within JETS, I might be interested in it. But the reopening trade is getting a little wonky as far as how it's playing out. And JETS looks pretty good. So LUV should start to track with it. And if I see enough blue grab candles, that's the green, red, and blue candles on my chart. Green is bullish, red is bearish, blue is neutral. And I think if we see enough of those in a row, we're looking for that breakout. Case in point, this was a setup that we did in the Sector Secrets Mastery. Look, notice the blue, 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 blue. The only way to tackle this is once you find about 4 or 5 blue grab candles in a row and it's stuck inside the wave, as we can see we were since late April, early May, is buy a further out option and wait for it to break out. Don't put yourself in this restricted time decay, time expiry situation because it could go sideways for a while. But this was a really good example of a sideways market, which maybe LUV could be turning into, maybe not quite as exaggerated as GE, but that's what I look for, right? If I'm looking for a momentum explosion, as someone asked me earlier, it's not from a trending market normally because I can buy the pullbacks and I'll just then at that point be already positioned when the explosion higher happens. But in consolidation or congestion to consolidation patterns like this, just give yourself time. And I think, again, if you're following the trend that preceded the consolidation, you're usually going to be on the higher probability, the right side of the move. All right. So, and by the way, if you want to learn more about our mastery, for sure, check it out over at simplertrading.com/sector. All right. Next question we have here. Is it a good time to add to GLD? Well, I don't like the verbiage add. I know it's semantics, but I don't like this verbiage of add. Add really should be, and this is the way it processes in my head, is there a setup in gold? So whether that be add, which I get what you mean, George, but I think if we use, there's a story that Anthony Robbins tells where he was on this really long flight and he gets to the hotel, he's super tired, he's irritated, and the hotel was overbooked. And he was losing it. What do you mean you don't have a room for me? And there was a gentleman next to him who was in the same predicament. And Anthony looks at him and he says, can you believe this? He was so angry. And the guy goes, yeah, I'm kind of peeved. And Anthony Robbins is like, what do you mean peeved? What does that even mean? Is that even a word? But it was such a silly word to express the fact that, yeah, this is an irritation. But by using a different word, it did change his state. And anyone who knows Tony Robbins stuff, change your state, whether you like his stuff or not, there's a truth to that. So words do change your state. Words do change, in our case, of trading, our strategy. Some of you may know I used the verbiage. I made it up early in my career, point of validity, in lieu of this psychological concept of a stop loss. People ignore stop losses, but it's a whole lot tougher to ignore a point of validity, right? So instead of saying add, my word is setup, and I don't have a setup here. So to make the long story short, no, not yet, but I think we will. So stay vigilant about the pullback, and I think we will have something to do pretty soon. UNP, don't like it. As a general rule, I'd rather have a market that's double green. Union Pacific is within a group of stocks that I really do like a lot. It's not going to be the relative outperformer. Now, since we have talked quite a bit about consolidating markets, so this is the countdown, right? This will also keep you from getting in too early. All right. Number one, Union Pacific was never a relative outperformer, so it wasn't necessarily high on my list of long positions. And this is a long and long only position. So one, I'm not going to be swing trading it. But two, as of the 24th, right? As of the 24th, it's starting to compress. Now, if you want to be even more strict, as of just really actually 1, 2, 3, 4, as of really just yesterday, it was now viable to start looking at long calls with a little bit of bearish momentum. So the trick is, or I shouldn't say trick, the skill and strategy is with a market that's compressing, hey, let it compress. B, if you're looking for a market that's going to be a pullback continuation, make sure it's a relative outperformer. So the latter, not the situation. The former, the compression, like I said, your first shot at this was probably around the 24th, and your better compression was on the 26th. Now, with a little bit of bearish momentum, start looking at calls. I would look to the long side. We're gravitating around that great point of control there on this daily chart time frame of UNP, but now's the time to start purchasing the calls if you're interested. But please go back and do the relative outperforming scan. That's absolutely if you look at the way, for those of you that are part of Sector Secrets, you know this. If you look at the way we look at relative outperformers, this is not that different a situation than what we just did in SLX. Larger tide that I'm bullish in. I'm bullish in the larger tide that UNP is in. But what we then did is we looked at relative outperformers. We looked at MT, we looked at STLD. That's where we built the long position. So it's the same process, Vish. It's the same process. All right. And thank you for the question. So as of really the last couple of days, as recently as yesterday, now let's buy those further out calls with the anticipation that those blue grab candles are going to lead to the momentum breakout. And if you are a fan of our flagship indicator here at Simpler called the squeeze, then you're going to love the combination. That's the only way that I play the squeeze. You're going to love the combination of the way that I define a compressed, consolidated market that is ready to make a move. All right, kind of a la GE we talked about earlier. So would I buy this pullback in the euro? All right, thanks for the currency question. We've been long the euro. This has been a trade that we've taken and we've been in for a couple weeks. And yes, I would look at, now, let me mention this. Yes, I would look at the euro, but please also, and maybe in lieu of, also keep an eye on what's going on with the pound sterling, and also what's going on with the Canadian dollar, the loonie. So those are relative outperformers compared to 6E. But yeah, I would be open to calls on 6E, the Euro US for my Forex traders out there. I would be open to FXE. Some of you might prefer to go long the FXE, Euro FX ETF, which is actually what we've done in Sector Secrets, along with EWG and along with EWU. So yeah, I like that. I love that narrative of the country and currency combo. So love the question. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. And the answer is yes. So what do I think about the ZC move yesterday? Todd, check out my free video over at simplertrading.com. And I dove into a lot of detail about not just ZC, but ZS and ZL. Check that out. But what do I think? It bounced off 600. It bounced off the 55 exponential moving average. It sold off post the USDA crop progress report, but check out that video. I spent a lot more time diving into the details of it. I think you'll really like it a lot. It's yesterday's futures free video, specifically on the grains. Okay. All right. Next up is, do I have any targets for the ES on the daily? I mean, look, targets are like rungs on a ladder. So I'm less interested in ES and more interested in YM. So all my cards on the table. But what I would say here, let's just get back up to this Darvis level, right? Let's just get back up to that level. And then at that point, I can start to, let me see here. I'm actually going to pull up another layout here. Do I like anything on the ES? You know, so let me show you here something. This is my Thinkorswim layout. So let's focus on the ES daily, which is a chart here on the right. So I've got this Darvis level here. I know there's some selling pressure that I'm likely going to run into around that area, and also around the second standard deviation of the volume weighted average price, the tool that I call the V-score, a way that we can measure volume to better understand different support and resistance levels on a chart. So let's just get through that Darvis, and then we could talk about 4250, 4280, 4300. I will just look at the levels after we break that. So the first obstacle, targets and obstacles are almost synonymous. They're almost synonymous. So what I would say is, let's get through the first obstacle, and then we'll see what's beyond that. Another thing you can do, for those of you that are Fibonacci savvy, is pull an extension on the last major move from the high on the 10th to the low on the 13th. All right. Okay. I will not trade thinly traded markets. As far as seasonality goes, Al, it depends on the market. I don't look at seasonality broadly. If you're talking about indices, I don't follow seasonalities without the underlying trend complementing the seasonality. And the seasonality conversation is a huge one, so I'm just going to give you a quick answer on that. Has CL broken out? Oh gosh, yes. We've been long CL for, in and out now for weeks. Has it broken out though? It broke out through the recent Darvis. Great eye. I'm not interested in breakouts any more so than I'd be interested in a target being met, a level being broken, and the possibility then for another level to be tested, which is going to be waiting, as you can see, just in front of 68. So I wouldn't call it a breakout per se, although it did take so breakout for me would be more of what we saw from a compressed market, just to kind of get the lingo and the techno babble, so we're all on the same page. The breakout for me is something more akin to what we saw in April 14, where we were blue, 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 boom, right? That is the pattern. Blue, 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 boom. That's really it. So I wouldn't call this a breakout, because for me, the breakout requirement, the prerequisite is the blue. But yes, this is a wonderful continuation in terms of now taking out, as you can see, another resistance level in the Darvis. So yes, and by the way, if you like crude, please take a look at RBOB. It's moving in a much, I think, more consistently bullish way. And these are really definitely part of the reopening trade. So good stuff. Thank you. Is there an updated Richard? Yes, I'm in the process of updating a number of my tools that I've been using for decades in some cases. Yes, we're in the process of updating some of these. And when we have our next class, you'll learn a lot more about them. We've been road testing them. They've come out of labs, the Raghee labs. Now they're getting road tested pretty intensely, and we will be releasing them really soon. All right, what else do we have here? Let's see. Alex, how are you doing, Alex? Good morning. Especially for new traders, but really for everyone. Focusing on double green, relative outperformers. That's what DG, by the way. I'm trying to de-acronym myself. So we have a tendency to talk in acronyms and lingo, and yeah, it's always a tough thing to de-acronym. So those of you who don't know what DG stands for, it is double green, and it's the status of the 8, 13, 21, and 34, which we color code so we can understand the structure of those moving averages and understand if they're yellow, green, or red. And like a traffic light, green is go, yellow is caution, red is bearish. And if you're bullish, you see red, that's definitely a stop. But yeah, double green really helps you separate the wheat from the chaff. Someone had a great Alex, I know you're in the Sector Secrets. Someone had a great line in the Sector Secrets yesterday, and it made me happy beyond belief, which is to say the markets were flat, if not down, and our net liquidating value, the net lick, or the NLV, acronym city, we're up 4%. And so, yes, we are looking in different places, and we aren't looking at the FANG. We're not looking at the broader averages. We're doing kooky little things like trading relative outperformers in the steel ETF, right? And it's working. That's really where the watch list building and the basic understanding of macroeconomic trends, I think, absolutely gives us an edge. And that's probably a great place to wrap it up, because I've run over a little bit. Thanks as always for being part of the Charts and Coffee crew. I will see you all. I'm debating whether we'll have a quick chat on Monday. Probably will, because I'll be looking at charts on Monday, on Memorial Day. But I hope you guys will take some time off, throw some good food on the barbecue, and we'll be back to open markets on Tuesday. But we might have a Charts and Coffee on Monday. We'll see. All right, gang. Have a great one. Be good to each other, and I'll talk with you soon.